think there's anyone out there as exciting, as innovative as Danessa Myricks. She has blown my mind. Hi everybody, so this is my first autumn/fall video and I've got 3 fabulous products to show you. Well, 3 different brands. So I've got 3 of the Armani Silk Luminizers and I've got the new Danessa Myricks Incredible, and trust me, you need to see this, Incredible Lightwork 6. And I've got this beautiful holiday lipstick from YSL in the Loveshine range. I can't wait to show you all of these. Honestly, I'm super excited about these releases. And if you're new here, hi, my name's Hannah. I'm 47. I'm not a professional, just somebody who really loves makeup and beauty. Here on my channel, I review the latest makeup releases and show you any of my favorite looks, talk about any beauty news you might be interested in. If you think you'd enjoy this sort of content, please do like and subscribe. It's super helpful to my channel. And if you're already subscribed, thank you so very much for returning to my channel. It really does mean the world to me. And my skin tone, if it's helpful to you at all, I've got neutral undertones and I've got fair to light skin with combination mostly dry and a slightly oily T-zone. Anyway, let's get on with this video. So if you're not new to the channel, hopefully you've noticed I've got a bit of an autumnal sort of full background going on. That's because my whole home has been cozied up. So I just want to very quickly start by showing you a very quick clip of me changing my house from summer to autumn. So here's that clip. You enjoyed that. I absolutely love autumn. It's my favourite season of the whole year. I do love Christmas, but season wise autumn is my favourite. I love the colours, I love the smells. At the moment I've got this Yankee candle burning here. I just checked, it's called Pumpkin Cinnamon Swirl and honestly it is absolutely amazing. The whole room smells of it. Even when I blow it out, it still smells of it. Even when you pass the beauty room, you can smell it. It's, oh, I love it. But I've got these sorts of scents everywhere. In fact, I've got a few more scents ordered for diffusers and things like that. So I'm obsessed with autumn themes. Anyway, the makeup that I'm going to be showing you is pretty much more holiday than autumn because obviously the makeup world works very much in advance. So I've already showed you quite a lot of autumn makeup on this channel because it would have released in the summer as these things do. So I don't know if you can call these releases autumn or fall or holiday, whichever really, but I think with the Danessa Myricks we can pretty much call this an all-rounder in my opinion. So this is not really season specific. So I've been trying this out over the last few days and I am just so impressed with it. So before I do anything at all, I'm going to show you how this works because it is quite incredible. So I've got a video showing how this entire thing works. So here that is. can see, it is the most versatile, exceptional packaging. It is so well thought out. There's so many things you can do with this. I mean, I've got it currently in the stackable sort of form here, but you don't have to take all three. You could just, if you prefer one particular set, you can just take one colour with the mirror and take this away with you. And you can use these for blush, highlight and eyes, so it covers so much in that tiny, neat little packaging. I just think it is so well thought out. I haven't seen anything like this before, and that's not even before I start talking about the quality of the shades, the number of different formulas. It is just a beautiful, beautiful palette. It really is. All sorts of different finishes, and they are stunning, trust me. And this entire base here is also metallic. So you saw in that video how I just took one of the pans out of the Lightwork palette and put it in here. So you could fill this with all of those as well if you wanted to do that. But what you can also do, which I think is so good, especially if you're a makeup artist actually, not that these are specifically for makeup artists, but if you look at the Groundwork palettes, I've got here the latest sort of pinky one, all of these come out in exactly the same way. So we've got the creams and the powders, the pomades and the powders here. And these just pop out here, if I just show you. So we have a powder there, and then we have a cream here. So you can create a really wonderful palette for yourself using the pomades, the powders, and the Lightwork, which for me is the ultimate combination, because then if you just want to have a one and done sort of colour across the eye from Lightwork, you can use the pomades and powders to line your eyes, which definitely would work for, and you can use the powders then to do your transition if you don't want to use the very bright shades in this palette, which I am going to be doing for this look. Sorry, that's the wrong one to show you. So here's the base, and you can see they immediately just go straight on because they're all magnetic. Isn't that fabulous? So they can all work together. So basically for me, if you have Groundwork, the one I prefer personally is the, what's it called? The Defining Neutrals. This one is quite messy because it's been used a lot, as you can see. So if you have this one, for me, this is the perfect one to use with Groundwork, but you might prefer the pinks. But I prefer to have neutral bases, and I can use these for liners, like the black and the brown. So you're covered for all that. So you could make up a little palette of your own. And then to even add this travel pouch, which is just so easy and so straightforward and keeps them protected. It's just so many nice, well thought out touches with this release, honestly. I mean, here we go. That's the whole palette packed into that, as you saw in my video, but it's just phenomenal. I'm so impressed with it. So you have exceptional formulas, lots of brand new type of formulas. You have colours that will pretty much cover you for all looks throughout the year. And you can do this with it, but it does come with a price tag. It is quite high, and it costs just under 143. It's £142.50. But I did actually get mine on Sephora here in the UK, and I do have a 15% discount code for Sephora UK. So I will put that code below now if that's useful to you. It doesn't always work on every brand, but it worked on this, so I was delighted about that because it certainly makes a difference when it costs that much. So just for you to keep in mind, use my Sephora code in the UK if you want to. You can use it as much as you like, and if it works, great. It doesn't always work for every brand, but it definitely worked for this one. So I'm now going to show you the first two looks I've created with this palette. So what I've done is I've basically broken it down into the colours, and with each one, which I will do today for you with the final one, I've done two looks. So the two you're going to see, I'm using at least one of these two, they're satins here in the pink, as my base, and then I'm combining these to create two different looks on each eye. And then when you see me trying this one on, this is the only one I can use for transition. So I use this on both eyes as my transition, and then a combination of the remaining shades, one look on, two different looks on each eye. So I'm going to play those clips for you now so you can see how they looked. first look, I'm going to use the Refa number 1, and I'm going to go in with this. Now this has a sort of satin finish, probably the only one again in this, but I think I'm going to try this one as a transition on one eye and try that. I don't know if it'll be too dark, but let's see. So obviously with it being such a deep shade, I'm going to take quite a light hand with this because I don't want to have too much depth for a transition. And just a little tap in is quite safe actually. It's not too overpowering. Obviously with my skin tone, I really don't want to have something that's massively dark and overpowering. But as you can see from that, I'm not getting too much, am I? I think that's just right actually, which shows you do get quite a bit of versatility. And whilst this is quite a shiny palette, generally every single formula in this has a bit of shine to it. I do find that using these satins in all of them, they work very well as transition. They're not too shiny at all, so they have the sort of effect of a matte anyway. So if you're looking for a matte base, if you're happy to go along with colours, which I certainly am, then this works very well. But obviously another way of using this palette, as I showed you, would be to dip into groundwork or a bronzer or anything like that to create a neutral base, and then you could just use one of the colourful shades across the lid as a sort of one and done almost, and that's where this can be so perfect. Obviously you can mix them together, and you can use the lighter shades for your inner corner and under the brow, which I've done. There's just so many options, there's so many different looks. There really are. Like the looks I've created so far, every time I've done it, I've thought there's at least 6 more looks to do with this palette that I could try. I really could. So such an exciting palette for me, it really is. And if you enjoy playing with colours and if you enjoy different looks, you are going to love this palette. So with my Refa number 3, I'm running the same colour now underneath. Probably get a bit more depth using this one. You can see there a little bit more. You could use a fluffier brush if you wanted it to be a bit lighter, but I want a bit more depth under the eye for now anyway. I think I'll move on to the other side and try this purple. Now this one has definitely got a bit more of a sort of sparkle in it. It's less of a flat satin matte type shade, so I don't know if it'll be as good, and it could be too dark, but I really wanted to see if I can try and make this a transition. So I've got 2 transitions, so let's see. Again, I'm using the Refa number 1 for this. So this is not blending out quite as smoothly. It's still working, I think, but I am having to do quite a lot more work, so I don't think this is quite as good as a sort of transition. I don't think that it's really the formula that's the problem, to be honest. I think it's more the shade. But anyway, I'm going to keep going with it to try and make it work. And then taking the Refa 3 to take this underneath. So this is working out as a very nice liner shade actually. I might have to use it on this side. With the other 2 looks, as you saw, I didn't feel there was a good liner shade with the other 2 pans I've used, sorry. I don't know how to refer to them actually, the other 2 colour stories in my video anyway. I used a liner, but I think that I've got enough depth here with this purple to definitely serve as a liner, so I might go in with a liner brush on this side. I'll see how I feel about the blue though. Anyway, so I've got my base down. It just took a bit more work, that one, but I think it's worked actually. It's worked very well, so I'm happy with that. And that's as deep as I want to go. These shades you can go much darker, much darker than that. I really have just tapped the brush in to achieve this sort of base. So flexible shades, you can see the sort of depth I'm getting there with it. So now I have to decide which shades to put together. I love mixing greens with purple, so I would love to do a green and a purple on one eye, but at the same time I want to just show off the colours. So I think what I'll do is I'll go in with this. I say green, these are blues, but it looks greeny blue, doesn't it? Look at it there, I mean look at that. Anyway, and like definitely use your fingers for these. I've tried a flat brush and it's nowhere near as good if you want the full impact, because as soon as you use your finger, this is what happens. I mean, look at this, it's beautiful, isn't it? Oh, that is a stunning shade, it really is. Could probably mix this with those greens I used in the, you know, the palette that's got the greens and the oranges, which is a very sort of autumnal fall palette, I thought. But you could probably use those greens with that as well, because obviously you don't have to stick to these colour stories. You can mix and match all of them or you could take the entire palette and play with the entire palette. The possibilities really are endless, which is what makes me so happy with this release. It is phenomenal. I said last year, someone asked me my desert island makeup, and it was the Danessa Myricks Groundwork 5 and the, not groundwork, Lightwork with the groundwork, because the combination was just so endless and so much fun and brought me so much joy. I knew if I had those two, they'd be the two that would make me the happiest. And now I think it would be groundwork, probably groundwork, or maybe the Makeup by Mario Neutrals, which I love, as my base, and it would be Lightwork 6, because I could just be happy forever with this palette. I really could. So I'm just going back in with the Refa 15 and just blending this up a little bit here and into the outer V a little bit. I don't want to take this too high because I don't like to have too much shimmer above my lid, but I don't mind a little bit. That is gorgeous. So now I'm going to try this one. I'll show you how that's looking on my finger. They are just incredible, aren't they? This one looks like it could be a bit chunky. So far most of them have had no fallout at all. But the chunky ones, there are a couple. You can see straight away that this one is definitely a bit more chunky, so I do need to be a bit more careful with this, not to get it all down my face. I'm actually taking my Zoeva brush. It's the number 238, which is a flat brush, which I find really useful for this area of the face when you want to get into sort of the fine areas. This powder needs to be flattened down without me touching it too much, because it is definitely one that's going to go down my face. That's how the brush looks if you're interested, in case you've already got something like that in your collection. I'm going to take a little bit of the green now and just go over where they join to try and make them sort of melt together a little bit, sort of fuse here in the middle. And then I'm going to take the Refa 3 with this sort of turquoise green and put some underneath here. A bit nervous to put this one underneath because it is the chunkiest one out of all of the formulas I've tried. And it's definitely quite risky in terms of fallout. It has given me quite a bit of fallout. That literally is the first one out of the entire palette that's been like that. So I think you do need to be a bit careful with this one, and maybe a brush is needed, a flat brush only. I don't know if I can even pick it up really with this brush. I can a bit, that'll do. And I've got a liner pen here which I've been dying to try in the waterline. This is actually from Moira Cosmetics. I picked up a few of these, they're only £6 and they have just got the most incredible shades. I'll show you how it looks on the back of my hand. I thought it'd be perfect with this. Very glittery, so I'm going for the full glitter here. So this is called the SUPERNOVA Multichrome Gel Liner, and this is the shade 09 Buzz. Oh, I love that. That is just perfect. So this shade of green, I think if you went back to the pink colour story, you could use that green with a pink if you like the sort of mermaid look. So that's another idea. If you went for sort of light pink here with this green, honestly, the possibilities, I'm just going to have so much fun with this, I really am, but I love this. I think this is probably one of my favourite looks I've created so far. I thought the autumn shades were my favourite, but this one might be now. So now on the other side, I'll go with my finger into this purple, just show you how that is swatching. And I'm going to take that the same way I did on this side, so I'm going to take it just roughly halfway, slightly past halfway. This one's got a bit of a shift in it, sort of blue and purple. A lot of them were quite shifty, which if you noticed in my earlier videos, they are quite shifty. The pinks and the greeny brown in the last video, I love that one actually. So this one's got less of a shift, it's more of a duochrome I'd say, so blue and purple. These formulas, I don't think there's anything I've got in my whole collection that can beat these formulas. That is how good they are. They are exceptional. They are just exceptional. It's not even good enough to cover how beautiful and how perfect and how different and unique these formulas are. You know, like when we had the Natasha Denona and there was that one, was it a multi-chrome, I think it was, and we all loved that one. Well, most of us did, I did. But every single shade in this is like that. Every shade is a wow shade. Every shade is just beautiful. They are so easy to use. I just cannot talk about this highly enough. It is almost, if you had to say to me now, pick a palette in my whole collection ever and run out with it, you can only have one, I would grab this one. Honestly, that's how I'm feeling right now. And I always say when I say these things, oh, I might change my mind when I've used it for long, when there could be other releases. But I just cannot imagine anything coming out to make me this happy. This is just a beautiful palette. I did get a tiny bit of fallout then, tiny bit. I think when I didn't do this with my other two, but I'm talking so much, I'm not concentrating on preventing it from happening. But I would definitely advise you to do your eyes first and your makeup second with this, just in case, because they are so colourful that when they are on your face, I can definitely see a bit of pink coming through from that purple. So it must have pink in it as well. When I said it's got a blue purple shift, it looks like it's actually blue, purple and pink. So it is multi-chrome. Wow. So now the only one I haven't tried is this one, because for my first look I tried this one, which is the really chunky one. So this one is a lot more smooth, so I'm hoping I'll have less problems with this. And this one is super shifty as well. Just look at that. Now I'm going to take this in the inner corner. Just beautiful, honestly. Danessa Myricks is a total magician. She really is. I don't think there's anyone out there as exciting, as innovative as Danessa Myricks. She has blown my mind. And I've got the 3 Rapha brush with the same colour, and I'm just going to take this further into my inner corner. I'm going to stick with this rather than changing. And I'm going to try it under here. Now obviously this is very colourful for under the brow, but I think it's bright enough to work. Yeah, it does. Need to be careful not to put too much, because it will be a little bit too much colour, but that is gorgeous. So in some lights that looks really colourful, in other lights it just looks like I put highlighter there. So, but I like that, because you're just having a different look every time you move your head. Beautiful. So I'm going to take the purple as well underneath here, and the same shade in the inner corner. I'm going to now run here. Just something I usually do, matching top with bottom. Now just go in with the Rapha 15 Mini and just blend all of this here above, so it's nice and neat and blended together. And now I'll finish with that Moira eyeliner. Oh, love this so much. So when we're talking about seasons, I think you can definitely get quite a sort of winter vibe with this. Christmas, New Year, winter vibe with the blues. This one you could, I don't know, you could mix it with pinks and have a summer vibe. I think this works really nice as a sort of autumn or winter sort of vibe. So it's so many different things. Like I said, this palette covers every day of the year for me. So I've gone off camera and added mascara, but I've decided to leave the looks as they are. I'm not going to add any sort of liner or anything at all underneath. I'm just happy with the way they look, actually. I really am. And I also haven't used any concealer to sharpen up the corner here. I just think it looks nice as it is with a soft edge. So I'm leaving it like that. So there's my first look. And there's my second look. Do you have a favourite? Mine would probably be this one, but then I love this one nearly as much too. And I can't wait to mix them, the purple and the green. That's going to be a look. Maybe I'll do another video with that. I mean, I could make a video on this palette probably starting now, and I'd still be going this time next Christmas because it is just endless, the possibilities. As you can see, massively in love with this one. And what really surprised me was you're supposed to use this for the whole face. I wouldn't say I love it on the lips. It's okay if you want a bit of sparkle, but it's a bit too much sparkle on the lips for me. It works though, so it's a good party sort of addition. What really surprised me is when I used it as blush and highlight. So I used that, obviously with the blue, there's not really a shade, maybe a highlight shade is possible with one of these two. This one's too chunky. So this one, if you're prepared to have a little bit of green here, be a bit strange, wouldn't it? So I don't know about that one. But certainly with these two colour stories, they offered good blush and highlight options. So the autumn one, I love this as a blush, and it really took me by surprise. It blended in so easily and beautifully as a blush, and it's the perfect full shade. It really is. So this entire palette is a full shade sort of palette, isn't it? A full colour story, autumn, fall. Sorry, I get them so confused. Being in the UK, we say autumn, obviously. And anyway, this one is just beautiful. So I used that, and then I used this as the highlight. So I love that, and you can see from the video what you think of that when I tried it, but really enjoyed that. And then with the pink one, again, took me by surprise using the pink. I think that was the one I used as the highlight. They just work beautifully. They blend as beautifully on the cheeks as they do on the eyes, and it's nice to have a bit of cohesion between eyes and cheeks. So these really do the whole face. They are face palettes, but I would think of them more as eyes, but obviously I normally I'll try it and then not do it again with cheeks and highlight from palettes like this, but this is one I will 100% be using for cheek and highlight again on these two, just not the blues obviously, because that would look very strange. So anyway, those are all of my looks created. I hope you've enjoyed them, and I hope it's given you an idea of what this palette can give you. If you like colours, just go and get it, honestly. I don't know if there'll be sales, there could well be, so maybe you want to hold on for bigger sales. I've got that 15% discount for you here in the UK, but you might get bigger discounts coming up for over Christmas, Black Friday, next year, probably. And if it's available here in Sephora, it must be available in Sephora US, and you've got your sales coming up. I think you can get bigger discounts, so maybe wait for a sale. But if you're tempted at any point, I highly recommend this. I don't just highly, I massively, hugely recommend this. Now moving on to the new Armani Luminous Silk highlighters. These are very recently released from Armani. They're called the Luminous Silk Acqua Highlighter, described as a lightweight liquid light for a blendable pearly glow. They cost £36, and you get 12 millilitres in these. They come in the sort of classic Armani packaging, and a bit more detail here. It says it's a watery yet creamy highlighter that creates a multi-dimensional 3D glow. Its skincare-born technology provides a watery feel, sensoriality that melts onto the skin and stretches into a seamless film of shimmer without moving your makeup. Thanks to a unique blend of an exclusive white micro pearl for glossy translucency and tinted micro pearls, it sculpts your skin's natural light to enhance your face's dimension like a glow architect. So this says it's buildable, and there's also 5 shades. So the 2 deepest shades I didn't get. I'll pop a picture of those for you now above. But I did get the first 3. So I'm going to look at the first one for you now, and I'm going to compare them with similar ones in my collection to see if they're alike at all. I don't think they will be, but one thing before I do this, just to show you, I've still got this Moira liner here. It's not moving. £6 for a liner that is that pretty. It's got a shift in it, a glitter, and it does not budge. Bargain. So now I need to try and get it off. It's not even coming off with a wipe. I'm gonna have to get my remover out. A bit of makeup remover, and hopefully it's going to come off. Still scrubbing here. So on both my cheeks I'm already wearing the Armani Luminous Silk in hot pink, so you can see how they work together with that. So first looking at Dawn, which is the darkest of the 3 I got. This is shade 3. Here is Dawn here, swatched on my hand. It's pretty much melting into my skin, this one. And we have it compared here with Charlotte Tilbury in Spotlight. And this one here is Surratt in Lame or Lame. I can't see if there's an accent on that one. And this last one here is from Dior. This is the gold liquid highlighter, the Maximizer. So that one is definitely the one with the most pigment, isn't it? It's hard to see highlighters when you're doing swatches like this, but definitely the most sheer out of the 4 I've just shown you, I'd say is the Armani and the Surratt, but the Armani is the most sheer, and the most glowy is the Charlotte and the Dior. So if you're going for subtle and natural, Surratt and Armani seem to be the best options there. So I'm going to put this on with my fingers and just pat this in. They really are exceptionally subtle. They just blend in seconds. Very little work involved to give you that sort of sheen. It really blends in very nicely. Again, picking up on a bit of glitter here because of my eyeshadow, not coming from this at all. This is very, very mature skin friendly. So that's what a light layer of shade 3 is looking like. I'll put a bit more on. So that's quite a generous layer there. And I've gone a bit further down, so it's almost like a blush topper in a way. This is definitely working, I think, for my skin tone. I'm perfectly happy with this. So that's the third darkest, and you think maybe for fair skin that won't work, but I think it does because they are very sheer. I don't think, well, I was going to say it's not lifting my blush, but I feel like it has a little bit there actually, because you can see where I've sort of lost a bit of the pink. It's supposed to be okay with that. I don't know, what do you think? Has it lifted it? I think it has. I think to experiment with that, I'm going to put a bit more of the blush on. So you can now see the highlighter underneath the blush. But what I'm going to do is powder down and put the highlighter on top to see if there's no movement then and see if it works on the powder. So I've powdered down and I'm now going to put a little bit more of this shade 3 on top of the powder to see if it works on top of powder. Yeah, it seems a bit better. It's not lifting the powder. I do think it lifted the blush, so that's a bit of a shame because they should be working together. I don't know why that happened. You can see it more. It always happens when you put any of these liquids on top of powders. They just have a lot more impact. So you can see the gold a bit more now. So maybe less suitable to my fair skin when it's on top of powder, because then the gold just looks a bit much for my skin tone. So I think this colour is a little bit of a fail for me, in all honesty, because of the lifting and because I need to put it on powder and then it's too deep. But still very pretty. It's not terrible. It's not something I can't use, but it probably wouldn't be my top recommendation for my skin tone. If you've got a slightly darker skin tone, I think you probably love this one. But do watch out for that lifting of makeup underneath, because that's a bit of a concern. So swatch comparisons here for shade 2 Stella. So here is Stella and here is Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Pillow Talk highlighter, and this one is Surratt, and this one is called Chi Chi. So again, it's the most sheer and the most subtle out of the three. So I'm going to try Stella on this side, and again I'm going to tap it in with my finger and see how this goes. Now this one I think matches my skin tone much better. Straight away I can see that look. And it's also not lifting anything, which is interesting. So there's no powder on this side. I don't see any movement at all. That's really strange. I will have to play around more with this gold one to see if it does shift every time, but there's no movement here at all. So I don't know what happened with that number 3 on the other side there. Maybe it was just a one-off, because this one is working beautifully on this side. So there we have Stella and Dawn. Looking at it now, Stella's definitely given me a bit more impact, isn't it? A bit more shine. And the gold, now that it's calming down, maybe it does suit my skin tone, I don't know. But I like both actually. Which one do you prefer? Stella looks quite bright actually. Maybe I do prefer this. I'm completely undecided. But one thing is there's no tackiness whatsoever. It's completely dried down. So that's really good. So the last one to show you is 01 Halo. This is the lightest out of the collection. And I'm comparing this with Pearly from Dior. The Dior Glow Maximizer again. So there is Dior. Much more colour again with that one. And here is the Armani Halo. So again, it's just more sheer than everything I've got in my collection, I think. So this could be very popular with people who don't like a really overdone highlight. I think it is a much more natural finish. So obviously now I've got highlighter on both cheeks. It's a little bit hard to show you, but I am still just going to go for it and put a bit here. But I will put some down the nose, which is what I would do with this sort of shade if I'm using it. Lately I have preferred not to put highlight down the nose, but anyway, I will do that to show you. So you can see with me adding this, keeping in mind obviously this is going on top of the other highlighter. Now for darker skin tones, this could be way too white. Can I get away with it? Because I do have fair skin. I think I can. It's whether it's going to be more obvious. But it is a more natural glow, isn't it? I'm so indecisive today about these. What I can tell you is they're so easy. They really are. There's no lifting up with this one. So I think maybe ignore what happened the first time. Decide maybe that was just something wrong with my base, because the other ones have performed fine with no lifting. They just go on extremely quickly, extremely easy. They dry down very well. I think they'll be a lovely combination with the liquid blushes. I think they could be a winning combination actually. Let's try this one down the nose now. So you're seeing this with no other highlighter. So this is how it looks completely on its own. Let's see if it lifts any of my makeup. There, that's how it looks on the nose. You can see it's quite a natural shine, isn't it? I really do like that. Hopefully you're picking that up on camera. I'm trying to rotate in the lights enough for you to see. I'll try a little bit on my finger here and go above the Cupid's bow. I think it is a bit more natural than the Dior, so if you tried the Dior and you found them a little bit too much, this one could be a very good option for you. Very happy with those. I'd love to know your thoughts. Which of the 3 shades would you pick up, or have you picked up? Or maybe you've got deeper skin tones and you've gone for those deeper ones. Have you tried them? Have you got any blush highlight combinations which you love? I'm sure everyone would love to hear that. Obviously I've just tried it today with the hot pink, but I think that you could pretty much play around with all of them. And yeah, very comfortable. It's just, seriously, you can't feel it at all. Completely dried down. So that's really good for me. I hate having a sticky, tacky finish. So that is it for the highlighters. The only thing left to show you is the lipstick. So there is quite a lot coming out from YSL for Christmas, as far as I know. They've got a big holiday collection, but for some reason this one launched separately here in the UK. So this is in Selfridges, and it says that it's exclusive to Selfridge. I don't know if that's a temporary exclusivity, but I snapped it up because it's the first one. So here it is. Look at this gorgeous, gorgeous packaging. It is absolutely stunning, isn't it? This one is shade 209. Let me show you the shade. It does have a bit of shimmer running through it. Hopefully you can see that on camera. It's really pretty, isn't it? But if you're familiar with Loveshine, that deep colour is not what you're going to see on the lips, because these really are like a lip balm. So let's put it on. I do have a little bit of pink liner on. Straight away it just feels like a lovely lip balm, super easy to apply. You can sort of feel the graininess of the shimmer, but it's not in a way that's hurting or transferring any grain. You're just aware of it. So there it is, built up, super, super comfortable, so easy to apply. This is one you could pretty much apply blind, so you could easily take this one out in your handbag and put it on anywhere and not really worry about it, because it is so easy to apply. It's a lovely one to pull out of the bag, isn't it? Because it just looks beautiful. A really sort of solid packaging as well. It's stunning. Very impressed with that. So hopefully there'll be more of those, and if there are, I will be picking them up, because I know when I saw the teasers for that full collection I was quite tempted by most of it, to be honest. So hopefully we'll be able to get our hands on those here in the UK. There's been other holiday releases such as Clé de Peau, which we still can't get here. Every single day I am looking to get the Clé de Peau collection, but everyone's probably got it by now if you're not in the UK, because it launched in the US quite some time ago. Anyway, it's frustrating. I want to get my hands on these holiday releases, but I'm doing my best to get hold of the ones I can. Anyway, so this is just one from the YSL so far. So I hope this has been helpful to you. I've had a ton of fun trying all of this on. My highlight, as you know, I don't need to tell you, do I? It's the eyeshadows, highlight possibly of the year for me. Absolutely blown away by this eyeshadow palette. It is incredible. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you like playing with colours? Have you picked it up? Will you pick it up? Have you had previous Lightwork palettes? Do you have favourites? I'd love to know, I really would. So it's a massive recommendation for me with these. With the highlighters, I'd like to play with them a bit more, so probably for me I would say my recommendation will come in my end of month review. I do think they're very good, but I was slightly concerned about the lifting there, so I would like to play around with them before I say I highly recommend them. But the way that it's finished here on this side I think is beautiful, so I do think that they are a massive yes, but I need to play with it to be completely certain before I would be confident in saying that to you. And the YSL Loveshine, easy recommendation. Beautiful packaging, beautiful finish, feels very hydrating, very pretty, and I love having that little bit of pink shimmer. So thumbs up from me. And please tell me your thoughts. I would just love to hear what you think about everything. And I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have and you're not subscribed, I would appreciate it so very much if you did like and subscribe. And if you're already subscribed, as I always say, thank you so very much to each and every one of you. Honestly, I really appreciate you all, and I hope to see everyone for my next video. Take care everybody, bye.